All right, and thank you so much for joining me again here. Oops, whoopsie, sorry. Fashion Made Live. So we're going to do, now that we have patterned our color block, and we've basted our color block together using contrast basting stitches. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our serger or overlocker to sew up our color block seams. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my presser foot, and because we're working with knit material, it's very, very important that you do not stretch your fabric while you serge. Also, while you're serging, when you color block, you want to use as small a seam allowance as possible. On this particular pattern, the seam allowance is very narrow, so that when we use a serger to sew the curvy parts of the color block together, get a nice clean finish. So if it's helpful to you to mark out your seam allowance physically on the fabric by either basting or drawing it with a chalk or pencil, please do that. In my case, there's no seam allowance that needs to be cut off by the serger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to align the edge of my color block with the edge of the serger. So let's see if I can get in there for you. Okay, so there you go. So what you can see is that right on the edge here, the edge of my fabric pieces touch right at the edge of the presser foot. So even though the blade on my serger is turned on, it's not going to cut very much of the material off at all, if anything. So now that I'm nicely aligned, I've lowered my presser foot, I'm just going to go very slowly and serge the edge of my color block. Okay. So if your serger happens to be the type that has a speed control dial, now is the time to use that. Go. Get around the corner here as well. And now let me get around this corner. There you go. And there we go. So again, the beauty of basting before you use an overlocker on your stitching is actually twofold. Great thing that happens, number one, is your basting stitches will they'll do a really good job of holding down the fabric, so that when you finish serging, you just end up with just a much cleaner look, you know. And then once again, I'm going to go ahead and just go super slow. Pull that off, and let me show you how that's done one more time, because I actually have a couple of pattern pieces that I'm doing. Okay, so let's take my color block to knit. Again, it's all basted together. So one more time, I'm just going to lift my presser foot on my overlocker, slide my pieces underneath, and there you go. Again, if you have speed control on your serger overlocker, this is the time to use it. Going a little bit slower means you're going to end up with just a slightly nicer finish. So there we go. Whoops, uh-oh. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and keep going. Alright, and this area is pretty straight, so let me just go ahead and serge it right off the edge. Let me snip that off. Okay, cool. So I'm pretty much done with this now. So now when I open up my color blocked piece, let me show you what that looks like. It's exciting. It's also one of those things where I have to like move my machine in a really awkward way, but that's okay. Here we go. So this is what our color blocking now looks like when we are done. There you go. So you get a really nice clean line here, right across on the most curvy part of the color block. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is, and you can probably see a little bit of it here, is you can see where my basting stitches are. I'm going to go ahead and take a pair of scissors and snip those off. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm finding the pink, the really bright pink basting stitches, and then I'm just gonna take my scissors and pull them out. Okay, so see how I've cut my 2 pieces of basting stitch, and you just pull out the thread just like that. Is it. Oh, there's one more little piece of baste that needs to come out. It's that guy right there. Yeah, if you're like, wait, where's that stitch? I thought I saw it. It's okay, it's in there. You just need to like clip the little ends and it'll just sort of pull out on its own. And if you used a true basting stitch, it really shouldn't take a minute to just pull them out. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. Let me get a little closer, and one more time I'm gonna snip this off. Oh, let me find my other basting stitch. There we go. Again, so what I'm doing is I'm just getting in there, and I'm just pulling out these basting stitches. And I'm pulling them out because, I mean, they're just there in place of pins. And the reason we basted instead of pinned is so that when you serge everything, you get a clean edge when you're done without puckering. Okay, so that's what our completed curvy color block looks like. Yay, enjoy! So if you're at all curious, feel free to follow me or subscribe to this channel on the YouTubes. Yay! And then you can get more super relevant, not shitty sewing advice. And I actually want to announce something kind of exciting, which is I just started a streaming pattern website. Yay! It's one of the things you can do as a pattern maker. Every day I'll make a new pattern, publish it, and if you're interested, you feel free to buy it. So first pattern comes out on Monday. It'll be awesome. And with each pattern that I put together, I'll do a little tutorial on how to cut it out, how to put together the pattern, and how to make your stuff look pretty awesome in the process. And there you go, fashion, getting with the times. High fives.